In this turbulent environment, how do we put a halt to police brutality and police misconduct? Well, just comply with the law. Don't break the law. Don't commit crimes. Should be okay. Sure, we've all heard that before. It's your boy Tim, the handsome liberal, and to some degree, that is a valid statement. In regards to police brutality, if you comply with the law, 99.9% of the time, you will not end up becoming a victim of police brutality. However, let's make it clear, there is a stark difference between police brutality and police misconduct. Police brutality is typically facing bodily harm at the hands of officers. Maybe you took off running, and when they caught up with you, they beat the hell out of you. Something of that nature. Talking crap to the officer and he slapped you in the face or punched you or something like that. Typically involving pain. That is what police brutality genuinely tends to be. However, police misconduct can be a violation of your civil rights, a violation of your constitutional rights, illegal forfeitures, searches, and seizures. And when it comes to police misconduct, unlike police brutality, complying does not guarantee you a favorable outcome. What do I mean? Well, why is someone like you able to afford a car like this? What are you doing in this neighborhood at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning? What did you just walk out of that store with? In cases like that, if the cop has already prejudged you in a negative way, you can comply with him all you want. He may actually take that as a sign that you are trying to hide your guilt and force a search, a seizure, or forfeiting property of yours, even though you've done nothing wrong. So complying with an officer does not guarantee you are going to escape police misconduct. Violating your constitutional rights, for instance. First Amendment right is free speech. You can't talk to an officer any way you want to. Even though it's constitutionally protected, if you start insulting a cop, which you have a 100% right to do constitutionally, excluding profanity in some jurisdictions, you are legally allowed to do that. But we know that some officers, in protection of their ego, will not be friendly to you for that. And you may face police misconduct. Same thing with the Second Amendment, your right to carry a firearm. You have the right to carry a firearm. In some states, you can open carry. But walking down the street with a firearm on your hip or visible, some officers may take that a certain way and ultimately violate your rights. Fourth Amendment, certainly it probably is one of the biggest constitutional rights that often gets violated. Searches and seizures. A lot of folks, you can't search here without a warrant. You can't take this. It's my personal property. Folks get property seized all the time. Folks get unlawfully searched all the time. And that is people who are complying. Plenty of folks have complied with the law and had their entire paycheck seized. So complying with the law does not stop you from potentially being a victim of police misconduct. And last but not least is the Fifth Amendment, your right to remain silent. Maybe the cop wants you to snitch. Maybe they want to know what you actually seen. Maybe they just want to know what your name is when they have no right to ask. Remaining silent can put you on the wrong side of a police officer. So I'm just going to say complying in 99% of the time prevents you from becoming a victim of police brutality. But it does not stop you from being a victim of police misconduct. So what can we do to deal with this? And that's what the purpose of this video is. Personal responsibility in a form of insurance. Here's my example. Let's say you are a over-the-road driver, truck driver, for instance. To become a truck driver, you need to have a CDL license, a commercial driver's license. If you're going to be shipping freight, which almost all truck drivers do, you need to have some form of freight insurance. The shippers that deal with you, that put freight in your vehicle, want to know that their freight is insured in case you have an accident, it's stolen off of your property, or your truck burst into flames and their merchandise is destroyed. You cannot ship freight without some form of insurance. So as a condition of being a truck driver, you have to have freight insurance. Let's take a licensed physician, doctor, surgeon, and in most cases, even a nurse. They have to also have what's referred to as malpractice insurance. You open up someone and you end up taking their life accidentally, or you make a bad prescription that has adverse consequences with something else that they're taking and you kill them, they require you to have insurance as well. That way it can handle those large payouts that the family of the deceased are likely to sue you, your outfit, the hospital, or whoever for. I'm proposing that as a condition of having a badge, just like a truck driver or a licensed physician or a host of other professions, police also have to have some form of personal protection insurance. What difference would that make? Well, currently right now, if a police commits an act of brutality or misconduct, the onus is on the taxpayers to deal with any form of settlement. And that comes from the government, and the government is not necessarily thorough on a lot of this stuff. If you had an insurance company, like truck drivers, doctors, and things like that, an insurance company is a business. It's not the government where the current payouts come from. It's a business. What is the number one goal of a business? To make money. Certainly not to pay it out. We all have insurance, whether we're driving vehicles, owning a home, or whatever else in your life. All adults have some form of insurance generally, usually auto insurance. Your auto insurance does not want to pay out claims if you are an irresponsible driver, which is why if you get speeding tickets, they start immediately raising your premiums. And if you get too many incidents on your driver's record, they will refuse to insure you any further. And as a driver of a vehicle, as a condition of being able to drive a vehicle, you need to have auto insurance. It's illegal to drive a vehicle without auto insurance. So it makes the driver pay more attention and want to be more responsible if they want to continue driving, because the insurance companies will no longer insure them if they have too many incidents, and then they can no longer drive. If the police were required to have insurance, just like with moving violations on your auto insurance or a CDL license, if a cop started having citizens making complaints against them, even if the complaints are invalid, the insurance companies are going to investigate those complaints, because the last thing they want to do is pay out huge settlements from cops acting in a brutal manner or committing acts of misconduct. The insurance companies are going to be a hell of a lot more thorough than the taxpayers and the government that we have right now. In addition to doing investigations, just simply, even a mild case, what's the first thing the insurance company is going to do? They're going to raise the officer's premiums, just like they would raise the doctor's malpractice insurance premiums or the truck driver's premiums. If a truck driver even gets a warning from the police, doesn't have to be an actual moving violation, just a warning, you need to fix your brakes or you need to do this, just a simple warning, the insurance companies will note that and begin taking adverse actions. Just that warning can make your insurance premiums go up. You got cops, for instance. Let's take one that's probably the most known in the news as of late, Derek Chauvin, taking the life of George Floyd. He had a host of complaints of adverse actions from citizens on his record, but yet he was still serving as a police officer. Now, that's not to say he would have been terminated in the environment I'm proposing, where officers have to have insurance, but it certainly would have provoked the insurance companies to do a far more thorough investigation as to what those complainants had to say, and chances are his premiums to be a police officer would have went up. Now, he's got like 19 or 20 of them over his career. I don't know if an insurance company could even continue insuring him at that point, but we don't know about that. I'm just simply pointing out that the insurance companies are going to be far more thorough in ensuring that they are not having high-risk customers on their roster. So if you're getting a bunch of complaints, they're going to raise your premiums and then start threatening to no longer insure you. And since having insurance will be a condition of being able to be in the law enforcement field, bad officers are going to be essentially terminated, just like a bad truck driver would get terminated. You can't have accidents all over the place and be able to still ship freight. No insurance company is going to insure you, and you can no longer put freight in your vehicle. That's what we would do with officers. In addition to that, just like with a CDL driver or with a nurse or a doctor, if you're working at this hospital and you screw up, or you're driving a truck for this company and you screw up, you do not get to leave that company and go somewhere else before getting fired or suspended and start over. As a truck driver, your insurance company is going to know what you did at the last company. The insurance companies tend to carry a record sometimes as long as a decade. They know what you did last summer, as the movie once said. They know what you did last summer. Same thing as a citizen. If you purchase a home and you have homeowners insurance, let's say you have a fire and you file a claim and you get a big payout for your home that was burned down. You can't move across country, switch insurance companies, buy another house insured without that company, that new company, knowing what happened on the other side of the country. They keep a record in terms of homeowners insurance that can last as long as a decade. They know what claims you've been filing. So they know the minute you sign up with their company that you have had a fire before, and they can judge their risk on you accordingly. With police, they can leave one department, resign, quit, or whatever the case may be before facing some accountability and go work somewhere else and essentially start over again. But if they had insurance, that insurance company is going to know exactly what happened at the first department. And they're not starting over in terms of accountability. Let's say the insurance company says if you get 4 strikes in a year, they're no longer going to insure you. Well, if you had 3 over here and you quit, when you start up over here, they're going to insure you in accordance with somebody who already has 3 strikes. So if you get 1 year, you're gone because those 3 haven't went away. And they can come up with some form of a system as to how long a strike stays on your record before it falls off. I mean, I don't think anyone should be getting punished for, a claim of brutality from 1988. So we got to be fair about it. But at the same time, you have to hold officers accountable and not let them come up with savvy backdoor ways of avoiding accountability altogether. You stop working for Department A and you go work at a university somewhere, and that way everything that happened at Department A is now history. No, you cannot have that. And of course, this would take the onus off taxpayers for covering for bad officers. So not only do you take the onus off taxpayers for paying for bad officers, you now have them insured by insurance companies that are going to be far more thorough and making sure that they remain good officers. So win-win, certainly. Well, it's a win certainly for the citizens. Now, that's not to say that all officers would be fans of this, because it is taking away a huge golden parachute that they have, and that is being able to leave Department A and go somewhere else and escape it. So I don't assume the officers would be a big fan of this, but I want to know in the comments, what do you guys think? How do you feel about this? You think that this might be a way of reducing police brutality and police misconduct? Now, we understand the claim of, it's just a few bad apples. It's not that much that we're worried about. I mean, how often do you hear of a case like George Floyd? And I will submit to you that is not very common. However, I made it clear there's a difference between police brutality, which is severe bodily harm in a lot of cases, and police misconduct. Police misconduct happens quite a bit. Police brutality, like I said, just simply complying, you can escape that. If an officer has already judged you in an adverse way, you can comply all you want and it may not escape police misconduct. You can stand on a street corner and film a cop down the street with your cell phone. And if he doesn't like what you're doing, even though the Supreme Court has ruled it's illegal and it's totally within your rights, that cop may walk over to you and take your phone from you. Complying doesn't always guarantee, as I just stated, that you will escape police misconduct. But if you have insurance out there where they can now receive a complaint from you that your phone was taken, and follow up on that, and maybe it happens to another citizen and start raising the premiums of the police, they're going to eventually lose their badge if they don't get that under control. Same thing that you might face if you're caught speeding too much. Anyhow, it's your boy Tim, the Handsome Liberal. Just wanted to run that by you guys because I strongly believe it would have an effect. But what say you? Catch you in the comments. Feel free to subscribe to the channel. I always appreciate you guys watching. Catch you later.